So what we've got here is an SQL database, all right? Feel free to stop me or ask questions while we're going through it because you can watch the video back and it might help you. But if you look here, we've got customer ID, customer name, item ordered, and quantity. So we've got some information stored in a table. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to refer to this area of the database unit. So this is from the specification if you look on the back. And what we've got here is explain the concept of a database. We all know that a database is a structured way of storing data, and we can store it in multiple tables to do that, all right? Now what I want us to understand first is what is a table, what is a record, what is a field, the different data types, what is a primary key, and what is a foreign key, all right? So I want us to understand those first, so I'm going to address that part in, say, video 1 of this, all right? Now, if I just move this out the way a second, we have a table here. This is a single table, this isn't the full database. Now what we've got, just so you're aware, a field, so we've got a field is the singular, all right? So it is an attribute of data. So if you are asked to, or if they mention in an exam anywhere, what is a field, our field names in this case would be customer name, customer ID, item ordered, and quantity. So in terms of a field, all right, we would have customer ID. In this case, obviously your data sets may be very different. You could have customer name, item ordered, and quantity. So they're your field names. So you will have to use the field names when you are specifying criteria. So remember that later on. Now, the other thing that it said is a table. Well, the whole thing itself, that is one table. All right? That is one table. Now, I've not put a name on there. Well, I have actually. It's called customer orders. Sorry. So we've got a table. We've got our fields. A record, okay, a record is it grouped together. So, for example, we have, let's go for Bob Crotchett, right, who wants 2 pairs of Nike trainers, all right, that there would be one record. So when it says in an exam, all right, specify the data, that's if it says that, the questions can vary, specify the data held in the record for customer 1, the information in the record would be all 4. So a record is when you combine all the fields together. So each of these are records. Does that make sense? So what we've covered so far is a table, a record, a field. Now, the next thing I'm going to discuss, and I'm going to obviously use a fresh sheet when I go on to the next video with this, is what is meant by a primary key. So, what data would you expect, looking at this, to be a primary key?
Customer ID.
Why would it be customer ID though?
Because all of these values are different.
Good, alright. The key thing to remember about a primary key, so I'm going to say in this case primary key, is that the data, alright, the data must be unique, alright? There is no repetition. The idea is that it's a unique identifier. So if I went onto my database and said, okay, show me all the information for customer 10, there's no other customer 10. So hopefully that helps you understand. Whole point of a primary key is it's a unique identifier for that record. That's how it works. So there is another type of key that we need to be aware of, which I can't really demonstrate with a single table. Do we know what it is?
As in a foreign key.
it is the foreign key, all right? What I might do, all right, this is what they've ordered. So this is the customer orders table. So that makes sense, yeah? What I could potentially do here is have customer ID, all right, address line 1. I'm just going to keep this short, all right, and postcode. That now in this table is a foreign key because, all right, I would have my customer ID and so on, all right, but if I wanted, that data is linked together. So the foreign key is a key that identifies that, but is found in another table. So if I put in 7 Riley Avenue, NN182PH, right? That would be another table. So we're going to say customer address. I wouldn't necessarily do it for that, but if you were splitting your data into different tables, you might have that's the customer order, but that might be the customer details that has more information. Do you see where I'm getting at? You wouldn't necessarily split it like that, but as long as you understand the concept that a primary key is your unique identifier, but if you see that key found in another table, it is the foreign key that links the tables together. Does that help you understand that concept a bit? So if you have a look now in terms of our criteria, all right, we've covered table, record, field, primary key and foreign key, all right, and that would be a relational database where there is a relationship between the two tables and there is a foreign key that links those together. That is a relationship. Now, last thing I want to do on this before I go on to some SQL is I need you to understand that each field will have a data type. All right? Now, there is, as with programming, the same data types you can have. Looking at customer ID, what data type would I have?
Integer.
It would be an integer because it's a whole number. All right? Customer name and order type?
String.
It's text. All right? Alphanumeric characters. Anytime if you see letters and numbers, again, it is it is a string. All right? If I see a telephone number, what is it? No, it's not. It is a string. Because what you've got to be aware of is if you put a 0 in front of it, when it's an integer, the 0 always disappears off the end of it. It's just common practice in coding. If you have a phone number, generally you go down the route of a string. Because the other thing is, you've got to be aware of area codes that start with +44. So that's how I always help people remember it. So if there was a phone number, it would be string. Quantity. And the others that you have to be aware of are, you've got date and time as well, which we don't have in this case, but you might have date of order, so you need to say date/time, okay? So that's covered the first concept, and I'll save that so you've got that, all right? I'll stop recording that.